Hello, wonderful people. We have made it to the last red wave spell within the Tolkien, the wave spell of the Red Moon. Wave spells are 13-day cycles, and you can watch the video The Structure of Wave Spells for a detailed description about them. And for more information about the Tolkien calendar, you can go ahead and watch the video called The Structure of the Tolkien. Also, we have entered the last castle cycle, the Green Castle of Enchantment, and for more information about what these castle cycles are, you can watch the video The 5 Destiny Castles. The wave spell of the Red Moon looks like this, starting with the red magnetic moon, going through the solar seals until it reaches the red cosmic dragon. The Red Moon, as the name suggests, represents the power of the moon, connecting us with the feminine energy of the universe and all of its qualities. And I've been fascinated how all cultures all across the world have associated this celestial body in our night sky with the essence of the feminine energy. Obviously, this is because we as women are deeply interconnected to the lunar cycles through our menstruation, and I explore this topic in further depth in the video 13, The Moon and the Sacred Feminine Energy. But its Mayan name is Muluk. So because it connects us with the qualities of the feminine energy, this means that it boosts our intuition, our sensitivity, and our receptivity. The Red Moon is an emissary of the universal life-giving waters, and it's no wonder since the moon actually influences the tides, the rising and falling of the waters, and it influences our emotions since we are 70% water, and there is a deep connection between the emotional body and the water elements. I don't know if you've taken the time to notice how all of the different lunar phases influence your emotions, but if you're watching this channel, you probably have. But for me, the full moon is always bringing my emotions to the surface, especially the ones I might be trying to hide or repress. The Red Moon offers us a really strong sensitivity, making us feel a lot of emotions inside us regarding what is happening in our environment and the things that are happening to us. But it also boosts our self-awareness, allowing us to observe our emotions, to witness them, to understand their source, to discover their source. Through self-awareness, Red Moon gains a really strong power of purification because it reveals to us how we can detach from our ego and all of its reactive patterns. Emotional reactivity is the moment when our perception is altered by our emotions, creating like a filter through which we look at our life, generated by the unfelt and unhealed wounds of the past. Whenever we feel stressed out or hurt or angry, this means that our body is in a flight or fight state. And the tendency in these states is to overreact or to react impulsively. And this way we get stuck in an endless loop where we become slaves to our emotional reactions. And through the strong self-awareness brought forth by the Red Moon's energy, it helps us enter the witness position so that we can listen to what our emotions are trying to communicate to us. Because in the end, emotions are the direct expression of our soul. And we can actually use emotions as tools to discover things within us that we might still need to work on, in the sense that emotions can become tools for purification, because if we think of them as indicators that are trying to reveal to us the hurt aspects within ourselves, our whole relationship with our emotions can change. And the key to working with our emotions is to not shut them down, but to allow them to flow through us like water. Usually, when we feel the so-called negative emotions, we have the tendency to reject them due to the education we might have received, where, our emotions weren't validated. Maybe we were even shamed or rejected for our emotions. But the more we repress our emotions, the more we lose any control that we might have over them. But when we truly listen to our emotions, when we observe them, when we allow ourselves to actually feel them, and if we don't get identified with them, we can discover the underlying issue that is hiding within our emotions. So the more we allow ourselves to feel, the more healing can take place within our being. And in the end, sensitivity is not something to be ashamed of, as we've been taught in our childhood. This archetype actually helps us see sensitivity as a strength, a gift, not a weakness. And in this world, it doesn't really reward sensitivity. Only the bravest of souls can actually embrace it. But in the shadows, many times the red moon might end up trying to hide its sensitivity, and it ends up rejecting its emotions or trying to control their movement. And all of this is done through the mental body. But if we are rejecting our emotions, this means that all our attention gets directed to the mental body, which becomes too rigid and strict. And then it's kind of like a mental cage gets formed, which keeps us from expressing our emotions and being ourselves. But it also creates even more anger and frustration inside of us because of the fact that we cannot be who we are. And all these mental concepts we have about emotions, how certain emotions are negative and others are positive, can make us judge ourselves very harshly whenever we feel those so-called negative spectrum of emotions. But another lesson offered by the Red Moon is that there are no positive or negative emotions. There are just emotions. How I might choose to react based on my emotions can be considered positive or negative. So if I get angry and I go punch somebody in the face, that could be considered a negative manifestation of that emotion. Unless the person actually deserves it. But anger is not something negative. I actually spoke about this in the video about the Red Earth Wavespell, how anger is a deeply misunderstood emotion. Yes, obviously feeling anger excessively can harm our physical health in the long term, but it's only because we don't know how to use it. But anger is a super complex emotion. It gives us a warning that something might be wrong. It is felt whenever we feel taken advantage of, or frustrated, or abused, or neglected. But we can actually transform this anger into something that pushes us to stand up for ourselves and for others. And we can actually transform this anger into motivation. The reason I'm insisting so much on anger is because I myself have been repressing anger since a very early age, because I've had examples in my childhood of people manifesting that anger in very destructive ways. So I promised to myself I will never be an angry person. So for many years of my life, I was the most calmest of person. People were saying to me things like, oh wow, it's hard for me to imagine you getting angry. Not that I wasn't getting angry, but I was just not expressing that anger. And anger would actually manifest in a burst of tears for me. So it was very hard for me to make the mental association between anger and the emotion I was feeling. And all of this actually created a huge inner imbalance, and it's only in the last years that I began embracing my anger and expressing it, not always in the healthiest of ways, so I'm still working on that, but Keeping anger bottled up within us can actually create a lot of internal damage, which is why it's important for us to find healthy ways of expressing it. Also, red moon's sensitivity makes it an energy that is very receptive to its surroundings. And because of this receptivity, this archetype is amazed by the beauty and the wisdom of the universe, like a child who is enchanted by this world, enchanted to discover his own power and light, as well as the power and light of the universe around him. And Red Moon intuitively knows that there are beautiful teachings to be found within everything. But these strong emotions might lead to another shadow where the red moon ends up giving all of its power away to the outside world. And this happens because it fails to understand that beauty is in the eyes of the observer. So our capacity to see beauty comes from the beauty and the harmony that is within. And in the same way that our capacity to learn comes from our own inner wisdom. In the shadows, Red Moon ends up unable to see its own beauty, its own light, in its own wisdom, if other people aren't able to offer to it the same care and attention that it offers to the world, or if other people aren't as amazed by the Red Moon the same way that it is amazed by the world. So the red moon becomes unable to acknowledge itself with as much value as it places on its surroundings, which can throw their whole being off balance, and especially the root chakra. And because the red moon is part of the root chakra family, the gateway or portal family, this really makes the red moon lose an essential grounding energy. And all of this makes the red moon reduce its self-esteem and self-confidence, becoming kind of dependent on other people to acknowledge the beauty and the wisdom that is within. This is why the white dog, if you remember the emissary of unconditional love, he is the complementary energy of the red moon, because for the red moon to integrate this particular shadow, it needs to learn how to fall in love with itself once again, and to learn how to give back to itself the same care, appreciation, and love that it gives to the outside world. So red moon's purifying energy can help us find the root source of our lack of self-love, helping us become aware of who we really are. Because once the red moon starts seeing its own light and remembering who it is, there's no more turning back. It actually represents the power of remembrance that helps us penetrate through the veil of forgetfulness that most of us are enveiled in, which separates us from ourselves. It gives us the power to remember who we really are, and through this remembrance, we gain access to an expanded state of presence through which we understand that we are not only connected to the earth, but to the cosmos as well. Remembrance means that we awaken to all of who we are. So Red Moon is a gateway that connects us with the self beyond the physical, beyond the mental, even beyond the emotions. It helps us experience this timeless awareness that is witnessing it all. When we allow this archetype to purify our whole personality from every fear, every reactive pattern, from the need to be in control, from the limits of the mind and the beliefs that we have learned from society, and if we allow ourselves to be open enough in order to receive life through all of our being, that's when we make enough space within us so that we can allow our higher self to arise. Then we can become a portal of awakened consciousness, a beacon for the light of consciousness, and we can open up to gain galactic knowledge coming from higher levels of awareness. The more we remember, the more we become an emitter and a receiver of cosmic consciousness, like a transmitting station, and we can learn how to communicate at higher frequencies. The red moon also reveals to us how to be like the moon, totally empty, so that we can reflect the light of the sun and shine it within the darkness, guiding other people back home to the essence of who they are. Empty means that we have purified ourselves and we have allowed the space within us so that our soul, our higher self, can express itself on this earth. And this is actually one of the greatest gifts that we can offer to the world, the gift of our own self-transformation. So during these 13 days, take the time to explore your emotions, to feel them, and allow yourself to be purified by all of the emotional patterns that are keeping you from being empty and receiving the light of your soul. Where are your strong emotions coming from? What is their root cause, their root source? Are you allowing them to distort your experience and to cloud your judgment? Are you embracing your sensitivity, or are you judging it as a weakness? What are the wounds your emotions are trying to reveal? Are you judging yourself and your emotions? Are you identifying yourself with your emotions, or are you allowing them to flow through you like water? Or maybe you're repressing them. And how can you express these so-called negative emotions in a way that you can transmute this energy into something beneficial for your being? If you have any further questions about the dream spell, if you're interested in getting a galactic signature decoding session or ordering one of the 20 dream spell organite pendants designed for each of the 20 archetypes within the calendar, you can send me a message either on my email, my Facebook, or my Instagram. Until the next time, wishing you a purifying wave spell, and I will see you on the next magnetic day with the wave spell of the white wind. In Lak'Ech.